This Steve Jones Show podcast is now loading. The Steve Jones Show podcast is presented by Sunbury Motor Company, Purdy Insurance, Brewers Outlet, and NIL Game Changers.
7.
Bringing you an in-depth look at Penn State sports and more. This is the Steve Jones Show on News Radio 1070 WKOK. The Steve Jones Show is presented by Sunbury Motor Company, Purdy Insurance, and Brewers Outlet. Now from the Sunbury Motors Studio, here's Steve Jones.
All right. Half hour brought to you by Purdy Insurance, Market Street in Sunbury. Go to purdyinsurance.com. Auto, home, lifeboat, motorcycle, RV. Multitude of insurance needs. They handle them all, do everything they can to save you money, because customer service means everything to them. All at Purdy Insurance. Market Street in Sunbury. Go to purdyinsurance.com. Ben Bolch joins us now from the coast. Hello, how you doing, Ben?
I'm doing very well. Thank you.
I've been telling people that for UCLA, this is the weekend the Big Ten gets real, only because their Big Ten games so far have been at home. What's your thought on that, considering this is going to be a long journey?
I think it got very real in the first series against Indiana when they marched for a touchdown. It didn't matter where they were playing. I mean, we're talking about a team that's gotten flattened in its 2 home games against Indiana and Oregon. I really don't know what to say for UCLA at this point. They almost lost to Hawaii, and then you're looking at, the very real possibility of a Tyrone Willingham 0-12 type season. I really don't. I don't mean to be a Debbie Downer here, but I really don't see the answers for this UCLA team this week, particularly going into an environment like Penn State, one of the toughest places to play in the country, and one of the best teams. So UCLA certainly has its work cut out for it. So,
all right. I want to start with Ethan Garbers. And I know he got hurt. I know he hurt the ankle. Because when I got home from the Illinois game, I watched the UCLA-Oregon game. And then he got hit on the side of the helmet and then hit the back of his helmet against the turf. I know that they're very guarded about this, so I'm going to assume you don't have much more information other than the fact that he left the game on Saturday night.
Yeah, watching him in practice, he has not practiced the first 3 days of the week. Was not seen at all on Monday, and then yesterday and today he's been on the exercise bike, which obviously is an indication of a player coming back from injury. Now, Sean Foster said that Ethan Garbers told him he intends to play. Sean Foster will give us an update here in a little while. He's scheduled to speak with us in the next few minutes, but according to him, he's going to play, but reading the body language where he is right now, I would say he's very questionable to play in this game. And if he does not play, that puts the onus on Justin Martin, a redshirt sophomore who has thrown all of 5 passes in his college career. So that would be a big step down in experience and savvy if they have to go that way.
They haven't been able to run the ball. Now, some of these running numbers are figured in from sacks as well. But what has that done to the UCLA offense where people don't even have to respect play action because they can't run it?
Yeah, it makes it very one-dimensional, and it's not even been a good one dimension. I mean, Ethan Garbers has, let's assume he's healthy. He's had twice as many interceptions, 6, as he's had touchdown passes, 3. So, they haven't really done anything well on offense. I think it's a hodgepodge of issues. They're trying to learn Eric Bieniemy's pro-style scheme. They've struggled there. Offensive line has struggled to block. And the most curious thing to me, 2 players who were good and trending upward last year, Ethan Garbers and running back T.J. Harden, have regressed without a doubt this year. So some big issues across the board for this offense.
All right. Chip Kelly had been there. Chip then left, took the offensive coordinator job at Ohio State. Now, I realize in Southern California, Chip, they weren't giving him any parades. I've got that part. But what did it do did it set back the program at a time when they're entering a new conference because in some ways had to start over again.
Yeah, I like to say it that Chip basically did 1/3 of the job. He coached, but he did not recruit at an acceptable level, did not put any effort there, and he did not put in any effort to be an ambassador of the program. So I think he absolutely set this program back. You know, they had some couple 8-win seasons, 1 9-win season, but never really contended for a Pac-12 title with him. You know, when he was hired, it was, you know, universally hailed, including myself, thought it was a great move. But, you know, he just did not have the same kind of well-oiled machine down in Westwood that he did at Oregon with the way things that were already rolling, and he kind of came into a great situation there. So I do think that he left, you know, not the best situation for Deshaun Foster. However, they did have 8 returning starters on offense, and the offense has been the worst part of the team. So that, to me, speaks to some issues going on with this new coaching staff.
Which now I'll get to the part that might be the better part of the team, and they've given up points, but that's the UCLA defense. I saw Addison ran back a touchdown, 96 yards on a pick last week, the former Oregon player. Have they been better on defense, and if so, where?
Yeah, you know, I think the linebackers are the strength of this team. You know, they've because of their lack of a pass rush, they've had to move a couple guys to edge rusher. Olufemi Oladejo is one of them. Came to sometimes spend some time up there. But, you know, secondary and defensive line, they've got one tremendous defensive lineman in Jay Toya. He's been pretty much neutralized, though. Teams are smart. They've you know, sent 2 and sometimes 3 guys up to stop him, and you know, taking their chances elsewhere, and it's worked out. So, you know, the defense has been, it's a below-average defense, but the offense has been just so bad that they actually have looked good by comparison.
What is UCLA's travel plan for this game? Do you know?
Yeah, they're going to leave first thing Friday, and I believe if they keep up with their tradition that they've done on the road so far, they will make a trip to the stadium that sometime that day to kind of get players used to it. And they did that at Hawaii. They did that at LSU. You know, obviously they've had probably their best half of the season was the first half against LSU. So, you know, they were hoping to build on that, but Oregon pretty much flattened them last week at home. So, you could make a case that they've actually played better on the road than they have at home.
Yeah, because it's interesting, because Penn State, when they go to USC next week, is going to leave on a Thursday. That's the reason why I asked. I just didn't know with the length of travel across country what the plan might be, considering it's the first time. We know that there's the $104 million hole financially, and that's a driver in all this. And I know they have to get part of it to Cal along the way in the agreement. What's the sense that you're getting from UCLA? Is the Big Ten enough to pull them out of the hole where they can keep scholarships stable for all the sports across the board, or do they still have to make moves?
I think it's multifaceted. I don't think they can just see this as a cure-all for their financial hole. I think that they have to win at a high level and fill the Rose Bowl again. Now, it is interesting that the crowds have been up this year, and I wrote about this, that traditional Big Ten teams are actually excited to come to the Rose Bowl and, come to a place that a lot of them have not been in many, many years, particularly the Indianas and Minnesotas of the Big Ten. Now, Penn State might be a little bit different because they came for the Rose Bowl on January 1st, several times. But, they're going to get a bump from that. But bottom line is they need to win big in football. It's the revenue driver for every major athletic department. UCLA is no different. With that money they're paying to Cal, and on top of the $10+ million extra they committed in travel resources and mental health and tutoring and all that kind of thing, they need some more streams of revenue, and winning in football is the number one thing that can help.
Yeah, no question. And it's interesting you mentioned Indiana. Don Fisher has broadcast Indiana as his 52nd season. And I texted him the morning of the game, and I said, Don, I'm thrilled that you finally get to do a game in the Rose Bowl. Because in 52 years, he hadn't had a chance to do it. So, yeah, I mean, so you're right. And there are people that just haven't had a chance to be there, and I don't care if it's a regular season game or not. It's still something.
Yeah, it's exciting for a lot of people. You know, I'm actually a Northwestern alum, so, you know, I was there in '96 when Northwestern went, and it felt like a once-in-a-lifetime kind of trip, right? So, you know, I know Minnesota's coming next week. They're planning to have at least 10,000 plus. Iowa will probably, you know, maybe exceed that. So it's going to be a draw, at least for these first few years for these Big Ten teams that you know, really have just been able to watch on TV for so many years and now are excited to actually experience it.
What's your read so far, 4 games in, on Deshaun Foster as a head coach since it's the first time through?
Yeah, I mean, I got to be honest. It's been a very rocky start. I think you know, people hailed the staff he hired as having 47 years of combined NFL experience, but you know, I don't think they've played to the scheme, matched it with college players. I think it's been very complex. On the offensive line, they've added a lot of weight, which actually I think has been a detriment because they've looked kind of slow and athletic against some of these edge rushers. So, you know, he kind of wanted to take on the CEO role as somebody making the transition from position coach to head coach. Brought in Eric Bieniemy, who has a lot of experience, promoted Kaika Malloy. He actually already was, I believe, promoted before he came, but he's been the DC, and he's done, I would say, a decent job there. But they really got to get these guys playing to their strengths and maximize the talent they have, because to me they have enough talent to contend for a bowl game, and right now we're just not seeing that.
Well, Southern California certainly has a lot of great high school talent. What has kept UCLA from tapping into that consistently? And and part of that is that Chip Kelly's lack of desire of recruiting. I don't know.
Yeah, he didn't put in the effort. I mean, bottom line, he rallied in the transfer portal, and you know, where you don't have to put in nearly as much effort. You make a couple of phone calls once the portal opens up, and it's not, you know, sending texts every week and going out to a bunch of high school games, which Chip Kelly really did not want to do or didn't do. So, you know, but the problem for Coach Kelly was that once NIL became more of an entrenched part of recruiting, UCLA was not keeping up on that aspect, so they could not bring in, you know, I think if this was to do over again, they would not have been able to bring in a Zach Charbonnet or, you know, the Murphy twins, Gabriel and Grayson. I think those types of players, if this was today and NIL is where it is, they would not have gone to UCLA. So I think he kind of saw the writing on the wall. For the way he operated was not a path forward even to getting to the 8 and 9 win types of seasons he had.
Any quick thoughts on Penn State based on what you know?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that question?
Any quick thoughts on Penn State based on what you know?
Well, I'm disappointed it's not a whiteout game, correct?
It is not. It is going to be a stripe-out game.
Okay, so what does that look like?
Alternating blue and white all
Okay.
through the stands. Yep.
All right, can't wait to see it. You know, I mentioned I did go to Northwestern. I have not. Penn State's one of the stadiums that I've not checked off the list, so I'm very excited to be there. I know that, you know, Kaika Malloy, the defensive coordinator at UCLA, said this is the type of game that we have to show we can compete in as part of this move to the conference. So I think, you know, that's obvious, but by him saying it, it's like, well, now let's see what the team does, because they've stated it publicly, coming into a tough environment against a very physical team. Let's see what they can do.
And one last question, very physical team. Has that been a primary problem for UCLA's offense, the play up front?
Well, you know, I mentioned they put on a lot of weight, so it's kind of one of those things where you can say they're physical and that I think they're kind of big and strong, but they're just not, it's not good weight, and that they're not, you know, able to pull and do the kinds of dynamic type things you need as an offensive line against some of these teams that are in better shape defensively. So, you know, it's kind of a hard question to answer, because yes, they're physical, but I don't think in the right way.
Absolute pleasure. Can't wait to have you here on Saturday. Looking forward to it very much.
I am as well. Thank you so much for having me on.
You bet. Well, I give you a read on UCLA with one of the best in the business. Ben Bolch joining us on the show today. We'll take a break. Wheels next half hour. This half hour brought to you by Purdy Insurance, Market Street in Sunbury. Go to purdyinsurance.com. Here on News Radio 1070 WKOK.
When car repairs get difficult.
Well, I just don't know.
Me neither.
We get good. Sunbury Motors. More than quality new and used cars, Sunbury Motors specializes in complicated auto repair diagnosis. They can handle intricate repairs and even complete auto body with service open Monday through Friday, 7 till 4. And Sunbury Motors has made simple repairs easy. Maintaining your vehicle is necessary. Finding the time to do it is difficult. Welcome to Sunbury Motors Quick Lane. Just walk in or call ahead. Relax in their remodeled waiting room with Wi-Fi, beverages, and snacks. Will Sunbury Motors factory-trained techs take care of your oil change, tire alignments, brakes, and inspections. Quick Lane, 6:30 to 6, Monday through Friday, Saturday, 6:30 till 2. Sunbury Motors, Ford and Hyundai, North 4th Street, Sunbury. And Sunbury Motors Kia, routes 11 and 15 in Hummel's Wharf. We take the out of auto repair.